Because in a lighter note, in the midst of all the misery, in the midst of all the tragedy, we kind of experienced one of the most historic days in the history of pro wrestling, for better and for worse, on this past Sunday when AEW presented All In live from London. And it is official that they had the largest paid attendance record in the history of pro wrestling, with 80,035 paid attendees at Wembley Stadium. We saw so many different matches, so many different moments. And just coming from the fallout of All In, I wanted to know some of your takeaways. We'll talk about the CM Punk Jack Perry thing, but just in terms of the show, what were just some standout moments? What were some things that were very, very good and were special to you?
Well, I just want to start off by saying the view of that crowd it made me so proud, bro, to just be a wrestling fan, because a lot of people tend to think that this is just a dying niche to be a fan of. And like just looking at that just made me so proud. Like, bro, I almost felt like I was looking at a Beyonce concert or some shit. I was like, God damn, like look how packed out London is. London showed the fuck up and showed out for us. So the presentation was amazing. Every time they did like a little top shot of the whole entire crowd, that shit looked beautiful. It looked immaculate. I love the way they set up the ring, by the way, and the stage. It made for everyone's presentation coming out look phenomenal. So I fucking loved it, and it looked even more prettier as the night went on. So yeah, love that. Wembley Stadium was a great location, like spot on. As far as what was some standout moments that I enjoyed. Of course, I mean, we'll get to this one towards the end, but I personally enjoyed the main event. That was actually one of my favorite moments of the night. But I have to give credit where credit's due. As much as I shit on CM Punk, it was probably the best match of the night, and that's a lot coming from me because I don't like any CM Punk matches. Well, at least not from AEW do I like really any CM Punk matches. And I felt like they definitely went hard because we were shitting all over them for their match that they had going into All In. But that ended up, I think, being the match that was at the top of the show, but being the most talked match of the entire night. So definitely love that. Of course, as you mentioned previously, I loved all of the homages to Bray Wyatt that was shown in the entrances. So that's number 2. I kind of didn't mind the women's match that went on. I just wasn't really pleased with the ending, but that was probably another match I did somewhat actually enjoy. And I want to say again, the final match was probably like my biggest takeaway. The last match between Adam Cole and MJF, I thought was a good match. We're gonna dive into more. I know a lot of people dislike the ending. I actually liked the ending because to me, all I was expecting, bare minimum, was storytelling. I wasn't really looking for a definitive win. But I thought that as much as it did reflect the E, it did what it had to do, because what invested us into this match is just we want to see a damn good match, but we wanted to see storytelling, and we want to know who was going to turn on who, and it still gave us more clues. And it actually shocked me because I know me and you was going at it with like who was going to turn on who between Adam and MJF. You had MJF, I had Adam Cole. I like the way they went about it. They didn't do it in such a harsh way, such a predictable manner. They actually shocked the hell out of us by making MJF maintain the idea that he's normally an asshole. He looks down upon fucking Adam Cole and anyone that comes off like a video game playing basement dweller. And then over the course of what seems to be like 5 or 6 weeks of these boys being joined at the hip, he values the friendship so much that he doesn't even want to win in a dirty manner. He doesn't want to cheat for once. And I thought that was heavier visually watching than what most people are letting on to. I'm like, think about it. He's a fucking asshole. He's a devil for a reason. And the few times he tries to be human, his friend is choosing the belt over their friendship. Like, and it probably makes him sit back and think to himself, well, this is why I have to be a fucking asshole and I have to be heartless. Because the few times I try to care and give a fuck, people just say fuck me in the end. So I thought that was phenomenal storytelling because I didn't really think you could really do much to add layers of character onto MJF's character. But I love the few times they make him a human because it explains why he is the devil. So I love that very much. And I actually didn't mind the fact that, yeah, like they had Roddy go in there, but they didn't make Roddy and Adam Cole team up right away. They let you know that Roddy was a little bit jealous, that I am your best friend. You know? Why are you choosing this punk that didn't even like you 6 weeks ago over me? Like, yo, we got this in the bag. Let's do what we've been normally doing. Let me help you out. And even Adam Cole looked a little conflicted. But at the end, he's still an asshole at heart too, just like MJF. That's probably what binds him at the hip, truthfully. That's why there's probably a little inkling of respect between the both of them, because they're both assholes at heart. He cared about that belt more than anything. So I love the storytelling, and I like the fact they protected it with a roll-up, because the match that we really were thinking about, that everyone wanted for All In, we're going to get that literally on Sunday. And no one's going to complain about it, because I know that they're going to tear that house down. They just wanted to show us who's going to be the heel, who's the babyface. That's all they need to establish in that match and show who's on whose side. That's just what I think. I know I rambled. So what were your favorite matches? And what you think about the final match?
So I think for starters, I was shocked at how good the opener was for the 0 Hour, for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. It was so interesting because they gave us a main event quality match on the pre-show, right? Which I thought, and the fact that they won and in the fashion that they did, it kept me engaged for the rest of the night, because I was like, wait a minute, if they win the tag titles, is one actually going to turn on the other? Is this friendship going to play a role at the end? Like, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a segment? Huh?
Yeah. No, I actually missed that match. So I actually didn't get a chance to comment on it.
It was really, really good. But like it left me engaged throughout the night. So from there, going into the Jack Perry Hook match for the FTW title, I thought that was a really good match. There were moments in there that kind of showed Jack's growth as a heel. And I thought they did a really good job at putting on a hardcore match that didn't come off distasteful. So I think that's another thing. Going into the main card, things that kind of stood out to me, obviously the World Trios tag match, I think was great. The reintroduction of Badass Billy Gunn made for an invigorating and nice story. I feel like with the tag match between Swerve and Christian Cage versus Sting and Darby was phenomenal. Why? Because I think that was so fun. That was such a fun match. They gave Sting a really good moment with that hand sticking out of the casket and Swerve spitting on the bat. I think that was a really, really good match. Stadium Stampede was kind of
something years old, and he just went through a table. We didn't forget about that part either.
Yeah, but I think with Stadium Stampede was actually, it was all over the place, but it was chaotic and fun. But I think like you said, I would have to go with the main event as like my favorite match of the night. Joe and CM Punk was also a great match, but I feel like I wasn't shocked that it was a good match because we're talking about CM Punk and Samoa Joe. These are guys that have shared the ring for the better part of 20 years, and all they needed was an environment where they have the creative freedom to kind of do it again. So I wasn't shocked that was a good match. The main event was, at first I was mad within the main event, but at the end of the main event, I was so happy because that was a great main event. The attention to detail and storytelling was fantastic because I'm gonna point out to you a couple things, right? Obviously, the whole, MJF and Adam, MJF not wanting to win in a dirty way, Adam Cole, eventually just like not using the belt to hit him, but trying to like do this the right way when Roddy was saying, do it. Exactly. And it was just like, oh, wow. Is Adam Cole, number one, picking a side? And number two, what is this going to lead to as the match finish? Obviously, they ended it with a roll up. But the most interesting development of this entire thing to me wasn't Adam Cole or MJF. It was Roderick Strong. because Roddy has been one of the best wrestlers in the planet for the past 20 years. In any promotion he's either been a main event player or he's been like upper mid card. And I feel like the only thing that Roderick Strong was missing was the fact that he never had something to motivate him, right? I think that one of the things about characters in wrestling is what fuels you, what drives you, what motivates you. Roderick Strong never really had any motivation other than being someone's sidekick or being the best wrestler in the world. And to be completely honest, everybody's the best in the world now. So is it really a valid motivation? But now if you're Roderick Strong, the guy who was my best friend is now best friends with my worst enemy. That pisses me off. That pisses me off. That motivates me. That fuels me. And I think that what we're going to see over the next year is Roderick Strong making an unexpected leap into the main event scene of AEW because now he has motivation. And now he's going to have matches against like MJF. He's going to have a match against Adam Cole. And it's like, and I think that was the right move, right? Like, I feel like everybody was expecting this undisputed era reunion in AEW. We don't know when Kyle O'Reilly's coming back. We don't know where Roddy stands on a possible reunion. And if you don't have the entire unit, you shouldn't try to replicate that era. So it's best to kind of go about it in a new, invigorating way. And I think that they've done that. And I'm just really, really happy at how that turned out. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, I want to know, what would you give AEW All In?
I'd give it a solid 8. The only reason I'm giving it an 8 is because I didn't agree with some people getting the belt, or I just didn't agree with like certain. Well, not agree. I thought the some matches were just fucking boring. Like, I thought the fucking Young Bucks match dragged out for too long, and like that was a match I actually was excited to see.
Me too.
But they just dragged it out, and it ended up being pretty much forgettable. I highly disagree with Saraya getting the belt simply because she lives in London. It looked cute, but you know, God bless that division. But when I look at the production, the pacing, the way the main event ended, I thought the main event was actually exciting. I actually like the fact that they were so petty that they decided to make them throw it in as a tie and then make them continue. I can only imagine that. Yeah, I know we're frustrated as viewers, but it must have been super exhilarating being in the crowd in that moment, trying to see what's going on. So I honestly thought that just the way that the show was presented to me as a viewer, and then imagining how it is being in the crowd, I feel like an 8's very fair. I think it's fair because compared to last year, how Tony Khan would book his shows, it would run too late. And I didn't feel like the show felt too long. Yeah, I know we're watching it earlier where I live, but it didn't feel too long, and it didn't feel like there really was a dull moment minus one boring long match.
Yeah.
So yeah, 8.
I agree. I'm going to give it an 8, just like you did. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think the only thing that I would disagree with you on was Saraya. While I would have loved to see Shida walked out that match with the belt, I had to like take time and kind of like pull back and be like, wait a minute. I'm not mad at Saraya winning the belt. And the reason why I say that is because if we base wrestling, right, we always say wrestling is about moments. And if we want to base it off of the quality of the moment that it produced, it delivered, right? Because at one point in her career, regardless of what you feel about the AEW run, at one point in Saraya's career, she wasn't supposed to wrestle again. She was not supposed to wrestle again. And she wasn't supposed to be in a wrestling ring, let alone wrestling in a championship match, let alone wrestling in a championship match in her home country, right? Now, on top of that, what was the one cutaway that we kept seeing during the entire night? We saw Mercedes Moné. We saw Saraya. These two have history. We're going to get into it later in the show, but there's rumors regarding AEW Mercedes Moné. And to be honest, if Mercedes Moné were to take the belt off of anybody, It should be her. And so now we have a quality moment. We have these cutaways that are kind of insinuating something and or building a potential story regarding someone that we've wanted to see in AEW for a long time. And for that, I'm not mad. Not mad at it at all. But I'm not trying to get too deep into that. We want to know how y'all feel about All In. I'm like scrolling because I'm trying to pull my notes up again. But let us know how you felt about the fallout of All In London. But we're going to move into easily the most controversial topic of the week,